Ready? Okay, we'll begin the Planning Committee meeting of Akron City Council. It's 1 o'clock sharp. Roll call, please.
Fusco.
Aye.
Kamer.
Aye.
Connor.
Aye.
Baylor.
Aye.
Mosley.
Aye.
All committee members are present.
Very good, thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion. We accept the minutes of the last meeting.
So moved. So read. So moved.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
Good. Okay, very good. We have item that's up for a public hearing this afternoon. Of course, we'll have one this evening at 7. Is anybody online to speak? Well, we'll go through it very quickly. Everyone here knows the rules, but the rules are we will entertain any comments after some quotes from our friends in planning, and then we'll open up a public hearing. Everybody will be sworn in. After they're sworn in, they'll talk, and then we'll talk, and then we'll ask them questions possibly. Then we'll close everything up, and then we'll repeat it this evening at 7. So I hope the law department is happy with that explanation, abbreviated as it may seem. So with that, we will now go into the public hearing, which is authorizing and conditional use to establish a Type A daycare home at 2017 Thurmont. Mr. Antonucci.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. Alfred Bell, doing business as Kiddo Care LLC, is requesting permission to establish a Type A child daycare home at this location. The proposed daycare home, the attached garage space to the 1,350 square foot brick ranch dwelling. Care would be provided for a maximum of 12 children, ranging in age from birth to 13 years. Services will be provided 24 hours, 7 days a week, with overnight stays. No additional changes are proposed for the interior or the exterior of the house. The rear yard outdoor play area is enclosed by 4-foot in height chain link fence. The property contains a 2-car wide driveway in front of the attached garage. The petitioner has stated that drop-off and pickup will occur either within the driveway or on the cul-de-sac in front of the dwelling. Since many of the activities will be indoors and the outdoor play area is in the rear yard, providing care for up to 12 children should not have a detrimental effect on the neighboring properties. The petitioner states they provide transportation for over half their clients. This Northwest Akron neighborhood property is properly maintained, and the traffic engineer does not object to the proposed drop-off pickup areas. Providing quality daycare service is beneficial to the entire city. The Office of Integrated Development, Planning Staff, and Planning Commission subject to conditions.
Thanks, Mr. Antonucci. At this time, we will ask over your hands, because we will need a lawyer, or better yet, our clerk of council will swear in those individuals that wish to testify before the committee. Anyone? We're not here. You wish to testify? All right. Sir Biviano, we have someone who wishes to testify before the committee during our public hearing.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say I do. Thank you.
Very good. At this point, we'll open up the public hearing for this property at 2017 Thurmont Road. If you wish to testify before the committee, please come to the microphone, and we're happy to hear what you have to say. If you please provide for us, as if we need it, but your name and your address. I think everybody here has it memorized, but for the record.
Yes, I'm Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, I'm Reverend John Beatty, 2047 Wyndham Road, Akron, Ohio, Ward 8. Actually, I've come to speak about racism.
If we could stick to the zoning issue itself, because this is a public hearing specifically on 2017 Thurmont Road, and that's what we're compelled to talk about in terms of this committee and the public hearing. That's what we had advertised, was a public hearing on this particular issue right here, and so we ask that you please stick to the zoning issue itself.
Okay. Well, In regards to the zoning issue at 2017 Thurmont, I have noticed in my ward, Mr. Malik's ward, that the neighborhood is changing. And I think it's a better ward than it's been in years. I've lived there over 20 years. And what I'm glad to see is that this ward is becoming more diverse. We have a Hmong family, lives 2 doors away from me, and next door is a biracial family. And we have Jewish members, we have Gentile members, we have older folks, but a lot of younger people. And I'm not quite sure what this 2017 Thurmont is, but it's close, it's walking distance. And I hope that this may be a daycare facility. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. It's a proposed type A daycare home described by Mr. Antonucci, yes.
Yes, we have another type A daycare home just a few blocks away. It's a black couple. It's a wonderful place. And, but I've lived there long enough to live with a gentleman named Art Bragg, who moved in about the time that we moved in on Wyndham Road. Art is black. He has 3 children, all who are very successful. One is a retired teacher, another one is an assistant administrator at a college, and the other one is a millionaire, a retired millionaire from California. And my neighbor across the street, when they moved in, mentioned that they had a tree whose branches hung over in his yard, and he requested that it be trimmed. And then he asked a leading question. He said, "How can you afford this house?" And Art said, "Well," he mentioned his 3 children, and he said, "My youngest is a millionaire."
Is this
And
going to
they
go
bought
back to the
house.
zoning, please?
But Art, when he was riding with me one time, we crossed the railroad tracks. We're close to Thurmont. Well, actually, got a senior moment. The railroad tracks in that ward. And he said, one time, I could not live beyond these railroad tracks. And since then, since that experience, I had another experience. And this was at a committee meeting, a ward meeting, long before Mr. Malik was the ward.
Is this, as long as we can get back to the zoning itself, it's what we're asking for.
Yes.
So please tie it up, and we do have some additional folks who are the petitioners just arrived.
Okay.
And I'm going to ask that they be sworn in so we give them an opportunity as well.
Okay. Okay. What I'm getting at is that there are invisible lines, and some people don't like daycare centers in their neighborhood. Some people don't like the group home that's across the street diagonally from me in their neighborhood. And I'm all for this meeting. But I'm also for diversity in our coming Citizens Review Board.
Okay, just the issue, please.
Okay, it's the same thing. Invisible lines that keep people off of committees, like Imako Okolo.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Okay, thank you.
sharing.
All right, well. thank
Similar
you.
issues.
All right, you got it in. Good. Sarah, I understand that the petitioners have just arrived. They're a bit late, but I'd like to extend them the courtesy. If the petitioners who, from what I understand, you just arrived, if you'd like to testify before the committee, we are in the middle of a public hearing right now, and we'd love for you to testify if you'd like. But first, you got to be sworn in from our Clerk of Council, Sarah Viano. Sarah?
Sure. If you'd like to speak at today's public hearing, can you please stand and raise your right hand?
No more.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give will be the truth? If so, please say, "I do."
I
Thank
let him
you.
go as long as he needed. Thank you, Sarah. Thank you so much. Yes, we're in the middle of a public hearing right now in reference to your zoning at 2017 Thurmont Road. And so if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself, please give us your name and address. We welcome any comments that you may have in reference to this conditional use request. What we'll do is we'll then close the hearing, and afterwards we may have questions from the committee and or council members in reference to your request. So if you'd like to stand right up here and have a few words for the committee, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
I'm Janine Wadood, and I am co-owner and a staff member at Kiddo Care LLC. We were previously located at 691 Aberdeen Street, 44310. Long story short, evictions came out of the blue, and we had to relocate. It's been a nightmare through all of this. We're at the tail end here with getting everything transferred over to the Thurmont Road address, and hurdles, but we've gotten past the hurdles. And so we're here today, hopefully as one of a couple of final steps that we have to go through. And I know this doesn't have anything to do with your department, but I would like to just state for the record, if we are approved today, if maybe we could expedite something to JFS, the Department of Job and Families, because as of right now, we have had to donate our services because they have been unable to transfer our licensing. They haven't really given us a reason why, except that they were waiting for your department. Besides that, we're still here and we're still trying to get it in. So hopefully today will be an approval. Any questions you guys have when it comes to the parking? What our neighbor was speaking about, the lines, we've absolutely considered those, and we've just about guaranteed that we won't cause any problems, any negative issues, if anything, just be a benefit to our community.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor?
Hello, I'm Alfred Bell, the owner of Kiddo Care.
Pull up the microphone a little closer.
Closer.
Thank you. Our audio is very bad in here.
Okay, you mean repeat?
Our audio is very bad in here. People can't, so if you can just speak right into the microphone, please,
Okay, I
thanks.
can repeat. How you doing? My name is Alfred Bell. I own Kiddo Care. Basically here to get the approval to transfer the daycare to Thurmont, as my coroner told you guys what the situation we're going through. So kind of just want to get that passed, throw it in the back, and keep moving forward. And that's
All right.
basically what we're here for.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you for coming down. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? Anyone? Anyone wishing to speak against? Anyone wishing to speak against? Very good. We'll close the public hearing portion. Open it up to any committee members that may have questions or comments at this time. Tara Mosley.
Thank you. Just briefly, I commend the petitioners for their service because it's definitely much needed. I just want to know, we had a similar one like this in a cul-de-sac that was denied in Elliott. I just want to know what's the difference between this daycare setting and that one that was denied.
I would say from a planning standpoint, we recommended approval of both. This one, we did check with our traffic engineer. The cul-de-sac is very large there, and there's enough room in the front yard that there could be more than one car parked at any one time. And there's a double-car garage, or driveway, rather, so there could be drop-off and pick-up in the driveway.
Okay, thanks, Mike.
Mr. Malik?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just first of all, want to thank the petitioners. As Councilwoman Mosley said, you know, access to affordable, high-quality childcare is very important, not only to the development of our youth, but also to the ability for families to be able to keep their jobs. So I did just want to note, you know, for those who are familiar, this is on the little section of Thurmont that is east of Hawkins, and it dead ends into a little bit of a cul-de-sac right there by 7 Stories West. And, you know, when I first heard about it, my first concern was the parking. And we had just, I think, completed the discussion about the property there in Ellett. It is a much larger cul-de-sac, and there is actually space to legally park along the cul-de-sac between the driveways. In addition to that, one of the neighbors on one side spoke in favor of the property at Planning Commission, and I went out and knocked on some of the doors, and another one of the neighbors told me that they had no concern, and I haven't heard any concerns yet to this point. And I believe the petitioner also shared with me that they do some transportation to and from the daycare to offset some of those concerns as well. You know, I was able to visit with the petitioners. They've been very responsive and open throughout this whole process. And, you know, it does seem like a, you know, high quality setting. So I just want to speak in favor of it and, you know, really appreciate what they've done. It sounds like they've had a little bit of a hectic ordeal, even this last development, but before that, you know, to get to this point. So I think any questions that we can address, but, you know, move forward on this would be very helpful.
Thank you. Any further questions or comments? Okay, very good. We'd like to invite you back this evening at 7 o'clock. At that time, we'll have an additional public hearing, very similar to the one that you had this afternoon. Be asked to make comments if you'd like. After that, the committee will then make a recommendation to all of council, either in favor, against, or to table, and I take time. Thank you very, very much for coming in. Thanks. Appreciate it. Very good. We'll now move on to the balance of the agenda. Item number 2, this is an item that we've tabled for a few weeks now. This is referenced the Merriman Valley Community Entertainment District. I know the ward council person as well as the administration has been working on this. I understand the new owner of down there has been engaged, and we have, and Mr. Malik wanted a little bit more time on it. So is there any questions or comments? Short of none, entertain a motion. Clerk, do we need to suspend the rules on this? It's been a couple readings.
You do not need to suspend the rules.
Okay.
It's past its 3rd reading. Thanks.
Very good. I figured, wanted to check. So I'd like to entertain a motion, short of any questions or concerns, for a favorable report. I'll make it a favorable report. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Against? Hearing none, we'll go forward with that. Okay. And recommend time on the balance of the agenda. With that, I believe we have 2 items that's gonna be new. Planning and Economic Development. That's us approving the renewal application of Stephen and Janice Brown to have agricultural property on Diagonal Road to be included in the agricultural district pursuant to revised code 19. Public hearing, which is scheduled for the 27th. All those in favor of referring signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. Number 2 is authorizing Director of Department of Planning and Urban Development to enter into a contract or contracts for transportation planning services in order to carry out the intent and purpose of programs consolidated further the Akron AMAT's goals and objectives of maintaining a cooperative, continuous, and comprehensive framework for making transportation investment decisions in Akron.
Good afternoon, Councilman Fusco, members of council. I wanted to just share with you that you gave a great description of piece of legislation, but it's permission for AMATs, the Akron Metropolitan Area Transit, to enter into contracts to perform transportation planning services. The AMATs will do along these lines is to do studies and offer planning grants on behalf of communities and some as well as the little portion of Wayne County that they serve. This year they're planning on doing a regional traffic signal inventory and analysis, and all the work that they perform will be funded with state and federal funds. So I'm happy to answer any questions I can answer, or if not, get you the answers that you need from AMATs.
Very good, thank you. Questions or comments from any committee members? Any council members? Is this the same amount as we funded in the past?
Typically several $100,000. I believe this year they have $300,000 budgeted.
Okay. Is, different dollar amount? 50,000, if I remember correctly. The budgeted amount, it says, is that annually, or is that for a term of X amount of time?
Yeah, that would be for calendar year 2023. The federal fiscal year and the state fiscal year with their work through ODOT, but specifically for calendar.
Okay, and the funding is, I can see exactly where it comes from. Is this federal pass-through, income tax?
Federal, 80% federal pass, and ODOT matches that with 20%.
Okay, good. No, their work is wonderful. Just, I wanted to make sure that everybody was clear on what was going on here. What is the, and I assume these other participating, how does that work, the other participating jurisdictions in terms of their share?
So typically, some of the work that AMATs will perform with this, like the traffic signal inventory, that's something they hire consultants and just do on behalf of all the communities in their planning area. Some of the other programs, they have a program called Connect Communities, and that's where individual AMATs members, including the city, have competitive grants. So I guess to answer the question, it's a mix of both. Some things that are just kind of blanket projects they do for the entire greater Akron community by community.
Yeah, we appreciate all their work, don't get me wrong, I'm just curious how, but maybe I should restate it. Say, not Northampton, silly me.
Macedonia.
Say Northfield. How do they pay in? Do they participate in that fashion?
Yeah, as far as AMATs admit, like their operating budget, the local communities, including the city of Akron, pay dues that are used just for their general staff budget, and that matches the state and federal. That's for the operating budget in general, but for this particular planning, transportation planning grant program, that's federal and state.
Okay, very good. Is there a rush on this, or?
No, consent would be fine.
Consent would be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Segedy. Like Mr. Fusco, appreciate the work that AMATS does, as I know you are very familiar with as well. The legislation mentions the annual work plan. Is there any document that's available that kind of summarizes that, or is that just a term of art?
Yeah, AMATs for ODOT, one of the requirements is they have to prepare an annual work program I think that one does follow the state fiscal year, but it is an actual document. It should be on the AMATs website. Okay. But if you have trouble locating it, just let me know. I'll make sure you get a copy.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Very good. Like I said, everyone's familiar with their work, and just had a couple questions. And suspension of the rules is fine. This has been budgeted. This is a motion for suspension of the rules. Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye? Aye. Against? Very good. The ayes have it. With that, we're adjourned.
Our next committee of the day will be the Parks and Recreation Committee, and it will begin at 1:45. Committee members Lombardo, Mosley, Malik, Neal, and Connor. Again, that's the Parks and Recreation Committee, and it will begin at 1:45. Thank you.